Caitlin Clark was supposed to be coached by Minnesota Lynx head coach Cheryl Reeve.
Because Clark traded Cheryl Reeve, who was the coach of her team, or was to be the coach of her team.
Caitlin Clark and Napheesa Collier, they traded their coaches. They didn't trade any players in the draft. They traded their coaches.
But I cannot believe she traded the coach.
Napheesa Collier and Caitlin Clark. Their coaches were exchanged. In the draft, they made no player trades. Their coaches were exchanged. However, I find it hard to imagine she traded the coach. After Caitlin Clark became the most unexpected selection in the 2025 WNBA All-Star Draft, the league is still reeling. Clark not only selected players in front of a live national audience, but she also swapped her own coach, Cheryl Reeve. This was a power move, and Reeve was caught off guard.
The WNBA All-Star Draft was fun between Caitlin Clark and Napheesa Collier, the team captains, picking the players, picking the rosters.
Things quickly got out of control when Caitlin Clark and Napheesa Collier took the lead in selecting the rosters for respective WNBA All-Star games. What began as a humorous TV-worthy moment became one of the league's most memorable power plays ever. Caitlin Clark completely changed the WNBA's narrative. Additionally, Cheryl Reeve wasn't prepared. A nice, lighthearted All-Star Draft swiftly devolved into a silent retaliation masterclass. Caitlin Clark made the night's most audacious move at an unexpected moment that took everyone by surprise. She gave up her coach. Not a pick, not a player. Her instructor.
Caitlin Clark was supposed to be coached by Minnesota Lynx head coach Cheryl Reeve.
Initially, Clark was paired with the renowned Minnesota Lynx coach Cheryl Reeve, who also coached Team USA, a squad that Clark was publicly shunned by. Clark merely stated, "I'm not sure if this is part of the rules," on live television. "I'm not interested. We're going to trade the coach." It's more than just a move. That is a declaration.
Of course, Reeve is Collier's head coach for the Minnesota Lynx, so that makes sense.
Team Clark was led by Sandy Brondello, the coach of the New York Liberty. Napheesa Collier, who plays under Reeve in Minnesota and obviously had no problem taking her own coach, accepted the trade right away. However, neither comfort nor strategy played a role in this trade. It had to do with history.
But the drama is going to come from Reeve having previously been critical on social media about the amount of attention Clark received relative to the rest of the league.
Reeve and Clark don't have a good history together. She has been charged with downplaying Clark's impact and writing off her fame as exaggerated by the media. After tweets were removed, Christine Brennan's book surfaced, implying that Reeve had a hand in the Olympic roster snub that left Clark watching from home. Although Reeve denies involvement, the majority of supporters don't believe him.
Clark traded Cheryl Reeve, who was the coach of her team, or was to be the coach of her team, to Collier for Sandy Brondello, the coach of the New York Liberty.
In this place, I'm not sure whether I've heard of a Caitlin Clark regained control in front of the league and the cameras. She had no intention of being polite. She refused to take a seat next to someone who had never supported her before. "No," she said. And she accomplished it without becoming agitated or perspiring. The nicest thing is that she smiled while doing it. It wasn't petty. It was calculated. By doing this, she offered a voice to all players who have ever been advised to wait their time, keep quiet, or take the high road. Clark didn't hold out. She shifted.
I don't know that I've heard of a coach being traded in the All-Star game. This is something that you're agreeing to, Fee. There's no terms to this deal.
Not only did Clark exchange Reeve, she replaced her with this person. Brondello is not your typical coach. She is someone who has adopted Caitlin's strategy. Someone who may already have long-term planning in mind. Is this the beginning of a covert recruitment drive to New York? According to certain admirers, the addition of Clark to the backcourt alongside Sabrina Ionescu would be ideal for the Liberty, who are creating something. In the All-Star game, Brondello will now have the opportunity to coach both of them. Is it a coincidence? Perhaps, but it appears that the chess pieces are moving quickly. Even though Cheryl Reeve is still a well-known figure in the league, she was the one left in a bind this evening. And Caitlin simply continued grinning the entire time, as if she was an expert at what she was doing.
Caitlin Clark taking her teammates we knew, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, She's also taken Sabrina Ionescu and the pink-haired player known as Asia Wilson. That's right.
Just let's say this. Caitlin Clark did more than simply create a team. She composed a statement, and it was a loud, unmistakable, and perhaps barbaric message. It wasn't only about who made the cut when the WNBA All-Star rosters were revealed. It was also about who didn't. Because Clark created a circle of trust rather than merely a squad. Congratulations if you have made any disparaging remarks about her in the past 18 months. From the opposite bench, you are observing.
She made sure she picked no ops, as people like to call them. She made sure there were no ops on her team.
And Caitlin Clark also wound up with all of the Fever members on her squad as well, meaning Aaliyah Boston, Clark, and Kelsey Mitchell will be a trio in Indianapolis.
There is now a single, iconic meme that perfectly captures Clark's draft strategy. Caitlin team, no operations permitted. Within minutes, that went viral because, well, it was real. She added teammates, friends, and allies that she had previously played on the court to her list. Sonia Citron, a former friend of Team USA. Nothing negative has ever been mentioned about her by Gabby Williams. Young, quick, and removed from the turmoil is Kikian. She naturally snatched up any single teammate she could find. Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston were certain from the start. Her wild card selections also made sense.
She picked none of her rivals, other than Asia Wilson, because, as Ken Swift's graphic says, Team Caitlin, no ops allowed, except Asia.
One of the league's loudest pro-Clark voices, Seta Sabali, is constantly promoting the new wave and protecting Fever supporters. Following that was A.A. Wilson. Look, everyone anticipated this. A.A. is a two-time MVP, a generational talent, and possibly the greatest player in the world at the moment. Although Caitlin is picky, she is not hallucinogenic. She can spot a great squad, and A.A. Wilson wasn't being passed up because of a few uncomfortable press appearances. Thus, while A.A. did create the no ops allowed squad, she is the exception rather than the rule.
She picks her teammate, Courtney Williams. She picks her UConn alum, Brianna Stewart, Paige Beckers.
Now, Nafisa Collier was creating some TV gold of her own while Clark was quietly building her Avengers-level roster. During the actual draft, Collier made the Knights line on live television. As her name was called, Angel Reese leaned into the microphone and spoke the words "Meltdown." Yes, that's the exact term that previously made Reese endure WNBA Twitter hell. And when that occurred, who was seated 2 seats over? Clark, Caitlin. Clark's response remained icy. A frozen stare without a laugh, a smirk, or even a raised eyebrow.
Is Angel Reese has filed a trademark for the rebound term "me-bound."
However, Angel Reeve has since stolen that me-bound moniker and turned it on its head, so let's take a moment to discuss the glow-up. Lately, she has been in control. With that you can't break me energy, we're talking about monster stat lines, double-doubles in practically every game, and entering every arena. She earned praise for transforming the insult into a brand rather than merely taking it back. If she ever broke her poker look, even Clark would most likely concur.
Clark should have a very fast team there. When you look at it, I mean, Williams is really fast for a forward. Obviously, Kelsey's very fast. Citron's very fast. Jackie Young's one of my favorite players. Area Finn, a rookie, can get up and down the floor. Ionescu can help spread the floor along with Kelsey and Clark so they can really shoot.
However, going back to the draft, you begin to see that Clark may have just put together a subtly excellent squad if you take a closer look at the group she put together. Let's dissect it. A.A. Wilson anchors the front court. Seta Sabali slides in at the wing. Aaliyah Boston holds it down in the paint. Caitlin Clark starts at the 1, and Sabrina Ionescu starts at the 2. That's strength, quickness, spacing, and total lack of cold.
Caitlin made sure to get some size. She actually passed up on Paige Beckers to take Sabali, and she took Asia Wilson with her 3rd pick. If Asia had fallen any further down the board, that would have been a wee bit of a controversy, if we're being real about it. But Clark picked her, I think, just in time.
It becomes even more repulsive when you turn to face the bench. Flamethrower Kelsey Mitchell. Gabby Williams, the beast of defense. Sonia Citron is a slasher and shooter. Kiki Iriafen is a youthful, big, and explosive person. Jackie Young, a potential MVP All-Star. And the underappreciated glue piece, Kayla Thornton. It's a well-rounded group in addition to being talented. When necessary, this club can play big, run, and spread the floor. There are shooters all over you. Mitchell, Sabrina, and Clark. With Boston and AA, you have size and rebounding ability. Athletes with the ability to fly up and down the court are Gabby and Kiki. It is essentially designed for disorder, smart, well-planned chaos.
But there's got to be something in the back of Caitlin's mind that still feels a little miffed, even if Reeve wasn't directly responsible for her not making the Olympic squad.
Not to mention the trivial detail that sent fans into a tailspin. Clark simply left Paige Bucher sitting there after passing away. The former UConn star, the media darling, and the person who is frequently associated with Clark in the news, everyone anticipated her to arrive early. However, Caitlin chose Satu Sabali instead. Mutz made another move that was possibly a touch personal as well as strategic. Ultimately, Clark's draft was not only astute, but also surgical. She was an experienced practitioner. She made sure no one on her squad would go rogue with strange energy, delivered a message, and assembled a formidable team. She had her peace of mind, her defenders, her shooters, and her rebounders.